We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC and bringing you a special edition of Gators Breakdown ahead of his big decision this Sunday. 2025 wide receiver Vernell Brown joins us right here on Gators Breakdown to preview his decision. We'll mostly hang on the Florida angle of this, of course, here on the Gators podcast, but big decision for Vernell Brown coming up this week. Vernell, I cannot thank you enough for joining us right here on Gators Breakdown.
Yes, sir, David, man. Thank you for having me, man. It's good to be on here.
Yeah, I know my audience, of course, we're hoping Sunday rolls around. You're in orange and blue, but we're gonna we'll talk about your process a little bit as we get to your decision between Florida State, Miami, Ohio State, big time Big Three battle. Of course, Ohio State in there as well, and their history of what they've been able to do. Can't blame you for putting them in there with the local state schools. But I know everybody pins and needles, at least in Gator Nation, of man, where's Vernell Brown going to go?
Yes, sir, man.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Subscribe right here to Gators Breakdown if you haven't done so yet. But let's get straight to the interview and the discussion right here with Vernell Brown III, class of 2025 wide receiver, committing this Sunday, as we said. Vernell, does that date hold significance? You know, why this Sunday? I do know it's Billy Napier's birthday. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it is Billy Napier, Florida's head coach Billy Napier's birthday. But is there something special for you on July 21st?
At the time, I had no clue it was Coach Napier's birthday. I actually just found that out maybe a day or two ago. I was like, oh, wow. So, but no, I mean, there's nothing really special about the day, just kind of didn't want to do it too early in July. Wanted to give myself a lot of time, a few weeks after my OVs, to kind of assess the different situations and make a decision that I'll be confident in without second guessing.
Awesome. So we're recording this on Tuesday. What's the process like right now? Just days before your decision, do you already have the decision made? Are you still weighing your options? What does it look like a few days before this decision?
So I haven't made the decision yet. It's still an ongoing process. No one knows anything. The people and the schools will find out Sunday where I'm going. But I mean, these few days leading up to it, man, it's crazy. The planning, the people calling, kind of giving their last pitches. But it's definitely been a crazy, I would say, week.
So let's let everybody know the final part of your decision. It's 2:00 Sunday, July 21st, and you're doing it with the on three guys, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm doing it with Josh Newberg.
Okay.
Josh Newberg will be on their live show.
Okay.
And we're kind of doing it a little bit different than just the traditional hats, and you pick a hat and everything. So definitely will be a treat in store for that.
Okay, so we got to tune in. So now we know we got something to look forward to. It's not just a traditional hat. You're going to have special
not the hat show.
Hey, glad to hear that. I mean, I still like it. It is still classic, but every now and then we got to see something different.
Yeah.
So obviously you're a Florida Gator legacy recruit. Your dad, your grandfather, other family members at the University of Florida, but that wasn't really an angle Florida was hammering home. But personally for you, is it hard to separate that being around the program so much growing up? Does it mean something to you, whether you commit to Florida or not, that the University of Florida is recruiting you and recruiting you hard? Not necessarily throwing it in your face, but does it mean something to have Florida going after you?
I mean, just being a kid from Gainesville, I left Gainesville when I was 9. So, I mean, just growing up, being from Gainesville, having those Gators in the family, and growing up around it, the house I grew up in is maybe 12 minutes, 15 minutes max from campus. So, kind of just growing up around it. Initially, it's like, oh yeah, I want Florida. So once they kind of came after me, it was like, wow. But throughout the recruiting process, I've definitely differentiated from that legacy aspect. Understand that it's my process and what's best for my family members might not be what's best for me. So just seeing that through. But yeah, it definitely meant something in the beginning.
Good. And we've seen the images, especially going back to your visit, taking photos with your dad, your grandfather. Those were great to see. What does it mean to have the opportunity to do that?
I mean, it's honestly a blessing, to have that legacy and have those role models that's been there, been the places I want to go and done the things that I want to do. It's really a blessing, to sum it all up. I think Florida has being that my dad, granddad, and other family members went there, they have the ability to use a unique approach than everyone else. So I think them kind of separating that legacy from me, but also kind of including it a little bit where you go to the visit pictures and things like that, it was definitely pretty cool.
Keeping on with this angle with your dad, of course, been around the Florida program last few years with previous coaching staff, just left a couple of years ago. So with the legacy angle, but even just recruiting in general, he's been around it. He's been around it himself. He's been around it in recent years with players, high school players, current college football players, and dealing with recruiting and making decisions in today's college football. And he's been able to be around that. So how is it him sharing his angle? Like, what does that mean to you that you have that to lean on? Because he's been around it. He's been around it recently.
I mean, I think just having that resource and with my dad being on both sides of it, experiencing the recruiting side of it, being on staff, and now me being recruited, so he gets to see both sides of it. I think just having him as that resource, he kind of keeps me focused and kind of keeps the main thing as far as what do I want out of schools and what schools align with what I want. I feel like recruiting, us being, 15 to 17-year-old kids, it's easy to persuade us. And recruiting is a big persuasion game. So I think having those resources and those people that know what they're talking about and people that keep you focused on the main thing, I think it definitely kind of helps filter out schools and, kind of keep your recruitment process important, like keep the main things the main things.
So I got to know, we know your dad was working with Anthony Richardson and stuff. What's your relationship with Anthony like?
I don't get to talk to him much, because I'm busy and he's busy, but
Yeah.
Definitely a good relationship. Ant's a really cool guy.
Okay. So let's get to Florida here even more in depth. How much does the recent, on-field success factor into your decision? You have programs like Florida and Miami who, haven't won many games in recent years, and then programs like Ohio State and FSU that have. How much does that factor into your decision?
I mean, I think it's definitely an aspect to be looked at, but as far as wins and losses, it doesn't really matter because, me going to school, I'm going to have to contribute to those wins or losses anyway. So, if it's winning, if they're already running great, you can be another factor that adds and helps to that winning. If they're not winning as much right now, you going in, that. So I think it adds a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, like I could be the piece that helps us win more games and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter that much. I think when you look at on the field stuff, I think we look at more system and how receivers are used and, just how the schools put me in position to make plays, not wins and losses.
Man, it's like you've done this before because that's where I'm going next, man. Because we got to go and look at what Florida was able to do with Trey Wilson last year as a true freshman and how he was used. Billy Napier, Billy Gonzalez. Did they explain to you how you would be used, and could you share that with us? I mean, I know Trey, what he was able to do last year, and just right away. I mean, game one, he made his presence felt. Mm-hmm. Is that something that caught your eye as well, and what Billy Napier and Billy Gonzalez was able to explain to you and how you'll be using the offense?
I mean, absolutely. Just seeing Trey Wilson, what they did with him as a freshman, him getting in, getting those reps and getting involved in the offense without them putting too much pressure on him. Not saying he can't handle it. They just didn't this year. But, I think definitely it helps. And then as far as how they will use me, kind of in that similar light, I think I would be able to play. They said I would be able to play a little more outside as well. So that's kind of their plan for me.
Would you be up for taking some handoffs, some sweeps?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about being in position to make plays and showcase. So whatever that is, I'm there.
Good deal. So, hey, one thing Gator fans would love to see is pairing you with a big-time quarterback. Of course, DJ Lagway would, if you decide to commit to Florida, would be your quarterback for the next few years. What is that aspect like of having that big-time Gatorade National Player of the Year? You've seen all the awards. Of course, we hope to see him on the field some this fall, but more if you were to come to Gainesville, what would that is there a relationship with DJ Lagway, and does that pique your interest in trying to play with him?
I mean, as of right now, I don't really know him that well. Through our brief conversation, he's a cool guy. Definitely someone that I could gel with. I think having that big time quarterback, like you said, Gatorade Player of the Year and things like that. He's a proven winner. He's had success all the way up until this point, and hopefully he'll continue having success. But yeah, it'll definitely be great to play with someone like that. While he is a really good quarterback, he can't do it by himself. He needs some pieces. So being one of those pieces would be pretty cool.
I mean, absolutely. I'm glad you said that because we all know, as good as Tim Tebow was, there was a Percy Harvin right beside him.
Right.
Those things. Yeah, as you said, got to have some help there to get those wins piled up. Vernell Brown III joining us right here on Gators Breakdown as we continue this conversation with him ahead of his big decision on Sunday. Vernell, break down your game a bit. I know we've watched highlights. We've watched camp all throughout spring and summer. What do you do well? Where do you want to get better?
I mean, to sum up my game in 2 words, I would say electric and game changer. I'm a player who has a monumental field presence. You can never forget about me. But most people try to eliminate me from games. But I'm explosive. I think there's not anyone like me in my class with the ball in their hands. Really good route runner, can separate, explosive. And above all, a smart football player. I know the game. I understand offense and defense. So that understanding kind of makes it a little bit easier to get open, knowing where people are coming from when you catch the ball. That way you're able to make moves and different things like that. So I would say my knowledge of the game is kind of what puts me on a different level than everyone else, aside from everything physical.
And what are you working on right now? What are the things that you want to get better at ahead of your senior season and things you want to be able to take that next step in the college?
I mean, just cleaning everything up. I want to become a technician at the receiver position. So studying the greats, training and working on getting in and out of my breaks, eliminating false steps, the little stuff.
You mentioned being around the game, study the game, being around your dad, and I know he was a defender and all that, but do you remember going back? Were you watching game film with him? Is that something he shared with you too, of like how to break down game film, even though different positions, but at least you get the mindset?
I mean, yeah, I think not only him, but also the high school coaches I've had are really good, really smart football guys. So, just having questions and having those resources to be able to ask, hey, what is this coverage? What does this coverage look like? What is this front? What are tendencies with safeties and stuff like that? So just having those resources, I think, has definitely helped me become more of a student of the game and not only just watch film, but really understand what I'm watching.
So I had Trey Wilson on in the spring. I did ask him this question, and this question is perfect for you too, especially explaining your game a bit. Would you rather catch a 70-yard bomb or take a screen 70 yards?
That's a tough one because, I mean, it's nothing like hearing that blur sound, but I think I'd rather take a screen 70 yards.
I think that's probably where I'd go to.
Because, you can showcase the most. You get all the oohs, the ahs, and the crowd's going crazy. So, yeah, I would definitely say that screen.
Yeah, and you hear the crowd just kind of raise that big moment there. Yeah.
You catch it, everybody around you, everybody get quiet, then you pop out and everybody's. So, yeah, I'd definitely say the screen.
Okay, that's where I was going to. That's where I'd go. A big decision on Sunday. If you were to choose Florida, what would be the reasons why?
I mean, I think when you just look at all the factors beyond that legacy point, just on the field and off the field, ultimately I would feel like Florida is the school that put me in the best position to maximize not only as a football player, but as a man and in life. If that were to be the school I picked, and then I think the legacy approach is just icing on top of the cake, being from Gainesville, A lot of my family members going to the University of Florida and being able to continue that legacy while creating my own path is, I think it'll be the best in all factors.
And you mentioned the reasons outside of football. What are some of those reasons? We know when in interviews with you, on here, as we're talking here and other interviews throughout other media services, we hear about what can Florida do for you for the football reasons. But what are reasons outside of football? I know we hear about Gator Made, we hear about Florida Victorious, and the NIL side of things. But as a person, what do you hope Florida does for you as well?
I mean, just the environment. If I'm not mistaken, I know they're top 3 in public universities, and extremely. Not only are they a historically good program, but they're also a really good school. So just the people you'll be around on a daily in classes and stuff like that, and then that network at Florida, being able to meet different people. Not saying that it's not at other schools, but that network at Florida, and just being able to kind of put myself in position for life after football.
And then, of course, you mentioned the visits earlier, and I'm sure if you came to Florida, you'd be talking to future teammates. And I mentioned, DJ Lagway, maybe playing with him down the road. But on your visits, who are some of the players who have taken you under their wing, shown you what it could be like if you were to choose Florida?
I mean, honestly, every time I go there, it's always a bunch of them. I can't say there's a really good brotherhood at Florida. So, whereas my host was DeAndre Robinson, him being my former teammate and stuff like that. But they're always kind of in a group, hanging out with each other. So I mean, it's not just one person. So it's definitely a really good brotherhood at Florida, and they're all very welcoming. They've all kind of taken me under their wing, showed me around. Well, I mean, I guess they can't really show me much because I'm from Gainesville, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. So I ask every player I have on this, and by the way, like, you're the first recruit I've had on that is not committed anywhere yet. I usually have somebody who's is committed to Florida and stuff. I was like,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to get Vernell Brown III on. We got to have him on before his big decision. I do ask him all this. So if you commit to Florida, but look, you've been in Gainesville, we see the photos with you in Napier but the uniform pictures. So I will ask, if you come to Florida and Billy Napier said, all right, Vernell, you get to choose the uniform combination for this game.
Mm-hmm.
What uniform combination you going with? What color helmet? What color jersey? What color pants? I mean, Florida's got all kind of combinations out there.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your favorite Florida Gator uniform combination?
Oh, I mean, I did really like the black. The black was crazy, but I feel like the black is too generic. I would probably say the throwbacks.
Okay.
The white helmet with the throwback jerseys and the white pants.
I like it. I like it. I want to break those out some more too.
Yeah.
So now, if you choose Florida in the future, if Florida's wearing them again, I'm going to say that's Vernell. Vernell did that.
Yes, sir.
So as we get ready to wrap up here, as I said, decision between 4 schools: Florida, Florida State, Miami, Ohio State. You brought us reasons why it could be Florida. As we end here, and I know you'll be going through the circuits with the other finalists as well. So you're probably going to have to answer this question a lot. But what about FSU, Ohio State, and Miami would make you choose those schools?
I mean, I think it's all kind of pretty similar. I think every school, is a really good opportunity for me to maximize as a football player, but as a man and in life as well. So, I mean, they're all really good schools, good programs. So I think ultimately the school I pick is just the school that, I mean, I ultimately, that's who I feel most comfortable with and where I want to be.
I don't think it's not really by coincidence, right? That, it's the 3 in-state schools. So maybe some inkling of maybe trying to stay close to home if you can, but Ohio State might be worth that chance if you go out of state.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Ohio State's, I think the only thing different about them is that they're in Ohio. They're a really good program and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, Ohio State is a program that I would definitely go to. So I would say with these 4 schools, there's no, like I said, I hadn't made a decision yet. I'm still in the process, and I'll have it done by Sunday, but I'm still in the process. So I wouldn't count anyone out in this process.
And to end it with this, you make that decision on Sunday. Would you be closing down your recruitment? Would you still be, entertaining conversations and stuff into the fall, or would this be a shutting down of a decision?
It'll be a commitment. I think I would shut it down at a later time.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be a commitment.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, there we go. All the time we have right here, Vernell. I cannot thank you enough for. I know it's a busy week for you. As you mentioned, it's a busy time, a crazy week right ahead of your decision on Sunday. So thank you for taking so much time out here and joining us right here on Gators Breakdown.
I appreciate you having me, David.